Okay, hello, welcome to episode 2 of Airsoft Pro Tips. Now, in this episode we're going to be talking all about getting your first tac kit together. You've played a few games at this point, or maybe you want to get some tac kit together before you play your first game. That's absolutely fine, I did. What kind of things do you want when you start playing? Now, this is my tac kit, as you can see. Lightweight plate carrier, got a whole load of pouches on the front, a couple of pouches on the back. Would I recommend this as a kit for a beginner? Absolutely not. The reason I say this is because every single pouch on my tac-vest has a purpose. I've got 4 mag pouches on the front because I carry 8 mags. Always carry 8 mags. Well, I always carry 8 mags anyway. Pouch on my belly, little admin pouch for maps, bits of paperwork that you get on site sometimes. A couple of pouches on the back, one for my radio, and I've also got one for my silencer. And that's all I have. I don't have any pouches for grenades, I don't have any pouches on my tac vest for smoke grenades, I don't have anything else. What is here is what you can see. Of course, I got a few snap lights tucked in there, got a little bit of paracord, mostly for aesthetic detailing. Very rarely do I ever carry live snap lights. Have a couple of times where we've been going close quarters, but not very often, to be honest. So, what would I recommend? Well, to be honest, for your first couple of games, I would recommend something like this. Now, the reason I would recommend something like this is a SAW gunner's jacket, or SAW gunner's rig. It's got lots and lots and lots of pouches. 2 big pouches either side, 3 big mag pouches in the middle. Now, these pouches are huge. They're going to hold a whole load of mags. Also, you've got quite a big pouch here for maps, grenades, whatever you want to have. Or, alternatively, I showed this in the first video, something like this. Now, this is a South African style assault vest. Again, loads and loads and loads of pouches. You've got a big pouch at the back, you know, you can store your gas. If you're taking BBs in a bottle like these, or BBs in a bag, again, you got space for those. You got pouches for grenades, you've got pouches for mags, loads of pouches for mags. Anything you could want, you've got a pouch to put it in. Now, why would I recommend those over something a little bit more streamlined? And it's simple: flexibility. When you first start playing, you're probably not going to know from the very get-go exactly what you want to be taking out to each game. Especially near the beginning, because you're going to be trying different things. I mean, when I started playing, I used to carry a minimum of 3 grenades on me. I don't carry any grenades most of the time. I do carry some occasionally, but not all that often anymore. Smoke grenades, again, I used to carry smoke grenades, thermobarics, all the fun pyro stuff. Used to carry those all the time. Don't carry them so much anymore. Grenades for my grenade launcher, again, used to carry them. And having this kind of thing when you start just gives you that option, you know. I mean, if I were wearing something like this, I would have, you know, mags up in here, probably a couple of grenades where they're within easy reach. And that's really what it comes down to. It comes down to flexibility. Okay, mag indexing. Now, in a firefight, you want to get your reloads as fast as possible, for the simple reason that the more time you spend reloading, the more chance the enemy's got to get the drop on you. So, I'm firing away, I come to reload. Draw a new mag. Well, won't go in the gun this way. So I'm turning it around in my hand, getting it in position, then loading it in. It's not as quick as it could be. So what I'm going to do is index my mags, so I can draw them, get them in the gun, nice and simply, get going, get back in the game. Now, to do this, what I'm actually doing is setting up the mag so it goes nicely with the way I draw my mags. So, which in this case is I turn my hand and do that. So it's now right position to go in the gun. So, getting up, firing away, back in the game. Okay, so we've talked about tac vest, now let's talk about your belt rig. Now this is my belt rig. I carry quite a lot of things on my belt rig, but one thing I would say is a belt rig is totally optional. Now you get a lot of people who say, oh, but you have to have a belt rig because you have to have a pistol, you've got to have various different pouches on it. It's not true at all. When I first started playing I didn't have a belt rig. The only thing I did have was a holster for my pistol. We'll talk about that more in a second. So, what is actually on my belt rig? Dump pouch. Got a knife holster, small pouch down here with lots of smaller pouches, and a pistol mag. Sorry, a pistol pouch even. It's not a pistol mag, is it? So, let's go through this in order. Dump pouch. Dump pouch is very, very useful. Open it up, drop things in there, spare mags, empty mags. When you pick up an item in a game, like an objective, like a flag, you know, just dump it in there, get rid of it, freeze up your hands, shoot more people. Okay, knife. Now this is where I normally carry my ballistic knife. Chances are at any one time in the field I've normally got 2 knives on me at any one point. But, by the way, this is a bendy rubber knife for those of you who are worrying and having fits and about to post in the comments saying, but knives don't have a place on the field, because I know that. Yeah, to be honest, when it comes down to knives, I use my knife, well, maybe 1 in 20 games I'll actually take it out, maybe 1 in 50 I'll actually get a kill with it. Definitely not a requirement. They look so cool on your kit, but not all that practical. You'll occasionally get a knife kill, but very, very, very rarely. Even with something like this, even with the ballistic knives, you get very, very few kills with them. So what's down here? Now this hangs down, and then I've got a pouch at the bottom. Now this is just a utility pouch. Gives me space for smoke grenades, on the few occasions that I actually decide to carry them. Those go in here. Lots of little pouches on the front, because these carry mags for my shotgun. Whenever I go to a game, I always take my shotgun with me as a backup weapon. Always make sure I've got these loaded on me at any one time, so if my gun jams in the middle of a battle, I can go grab my shotgun and keep on going. But that's just me. And pistol pouch. Well, pistol holster. Got it in a SERP holster, backs onto a Viper holster. Now, pistols, again, I've used my pistol half a dozen times in combat. Since I started playing, since I actually bought this Colt 1911, I don't have many kills with this, not at all. For the simple reason that I take it with me every single game since I bought it, but very rarely does it come out. Even rarer does it actually get fired in anger. Very, very good as a backup when you're sniping. You know, when you've got a big heavy gun, something like my support gun as well. You know, you sit in a position, you don't really want to be moving it around, it's a bit too heavy to do that. But you can have that sitting in your holster, someone appears on your flank, just pop it out, bang bang, you know, pop it away. Nice thing for that, but as I say, very rarely do I ever use it other than that. So, what of this do you need? Like I said, nothing. You don't need any of this. The only thing I would recommend is having a dump pouch, and I'll explain why in a moment. Okay, so let's talk about mag dumping. Unless you're planning to buy a new set of mags every single game, you need to keep hold of your mags. It's not like in the films where you can just happily throw them away. So, I'm in a firefight, firing away. I've got my dump pouch, left hand side. Run out of ammo, going to want to swap mag, get a new mag in the gun, fast as possible, and then, only when the gun is ready to go again, do I take my current mag, or my empty mag, drop it in the dump pouch, ready to go. Okay, so firing away, make the change first, dump the old one. Now the reason we make that change first is because every second you don't have a mag in your gun is another second which the enemy can get the drop on you. Make your change quickly, get that mag away as fast as you can. Having a dump bag, this is the whole point, it helps. Okay, so let's talk about gloves. Now, we spoke about gloves in the first episode. I said, real handy bit of kit, you know, go out buy yourself £1 or $1 pair. These are the kind of gloves I wear these days. Wear these Viper tack gloves. I used to have a pair of 511 ones until they got half-inched on a field, but it happens sometimes. Left them on the table by themselves. You know, it happens. Now, a lot of people don't wear gloves because they say, well, when I'm wearing gloves, especially thicker ones, you can't feel your selector levers, you can't feel your trigger as well, you can't feel mag ejection and all the rest of it. And that's a fair enough comment. I didn't wear gloves for ages for that very reason. I don't like the constricting feel of them. But there's no reason why you can't get yourself something like this. Now these are, again, Viper ones. There are lots of different makes. If you don't like Viper, a lot of people don't like Viper stuff, which is fair enough. And they're fingerless, but they've got padding where you need it. Because in the end of the day, when you're shooting around, you know, you've got that bit of your hand exposed. You know, BBs will come, they'll hit you on the fingers, they'll hit you on the knuckles, and you know, if you get a bad hit, they can scar. I've got lots of scars like I alluded to before, but you know, it's because I didn't used to wear gloves. I do now. But you know, these are a good option as well, and a lot of people say, oh well, I only wear these kind of gloves, or I only wear these kind of gloves. It's really just personal preference, you know. Like I said about how some people like the heavier gloves, some people like the thinner gloves. I knew one guy who used to wear gloves which were just neoprene and they were so thin. But it's really just comes down to personal choice.